Michaela. Kels. Kels.
Yeah, let's miss a class that's on the bar exam. That's just brilliant. Nevertheless, what we're going to do today is, what are we doing? We're covering the Caterpillar case, right? And I'm so excited. Sorry, I feel like spring break's almost here. I'm pretty hyped. Caterpillar case, and then I thought we would do something like actually be a real attorney for a minute. So I brought a complaint drafting exercise. I believe you know enough now to draft a very basic complaint. So we're going to do that. If anybody, well, don't raise your hand, but if any of you are still interviewing, I should have done it earlier. We just didn't get through the material fast enough. But I try to do it where in your interviews, you can say, oh yeah, I had a chance to draft a complaint. You kind of drop that in civil procedure, and it just shows me how it emphasizes to me or help me realize how excited I am about the practice of law, blah, blah, blah. Because usually you don't do that to your upper class. So anybody still has interviews left, drop that in there. They're always impressed. And that's it. So we'll do the Caterpillar case, our complaint drafting exercise. I'll have some complaints I'm going to pull up on the computer to show you that I think are juicy and entertaining Kardashian kind of drama.
Oh boy. Like you need more of that Kardashian drama.
And that's it. So just a show of hands, who is leaving the state of Kentucky for spring break? Okay, I need more hands. Who's going somewhere warm? Oh God, what y'all doing? Okay.
I'm poor.
Oh, I forget. But I told you on Frontier, $29 each way. I've been saying it all semester in Allegiant, which is not safe, but
Well, my cousins are coming up here, so.
I just don't understand. Like when I was a student, we road trip. We road trip to Daytona. Where's the other place?
Right? I gotta get ready
Why
for
don't you guys
finals.
just like rent a car and put your money together and just like
What money? We don't
Are you
have
gonna
no
be
money
here
to
spring
put
break?
together.
Like,
I got
I need
pennies.
office hours.
like that's so sad. Okay, so
I'm not
real talk, it's not too late to save the day, okay? So they still have those $29 fares. At least think about a road trip somewhere warm. Like we even I've driven all the way to Florida from Kentucky. Like
Who's doing that?
but when you get there, like Miami, like it's cool, it's warm, you've got the beach. I just don't understand why you're studying.
Because we're law students?
It's just 1 week, it's not gonna make that big of a difference. Like you might as well have play hard, work hard. Yeah.
What makes you think Allegiant isn't safe?
Oh yeah, let's talk about that really quickly. So
Actually,
that I
wait. Am I gonna want to hear this? Because I'm flying with Allegiant like Friday. Maybe I should. Maybe never mind.
You be alright.
do you honestly want to know?
Yes.
It's legitimate, so if you don't want to know it, but it's legitimate.
Earmuffs. Put them on Nolan.
So you can all Google fact check me, okay? If you Google it, but basically they had a big special on 2020. 60 Minutes, and Allegiant Air, they were saying, has the most number of engine failures. Engine failures, they had just 25 last year alone. And that doesn't include the number of emergency landings they've had to do. And so essentially what they did is in the special, which is all over the internet, they listed how many mechanical issues they've had. Not engine, like the 25 were the engine just failed in air. The other ones were still the number of mechanical issues on top of that. So essentially they said Allegiant Air is an accident waiting to happen. And so they were saying that the FAA needs to be more strict in terms of you're still allowing them to transport passengers when you see their safety record is piss poor. And so it was so bad that the president of Allegiant Air, because their sales plummeted because people freaked out like me, because I haven't flown them since, and they said, and again it's on the internet, him saying our planes have been inspected and we've addressed our safety issues and blah, blah, blah. Because their planes, Allegiant Air is really value jet. So when you all were young, and you might have been in a cradle, that's a joke, but when you were younger, Value Jet was an airline and they crashed in the Florida Everglades. And so Allegiant Air bought their old planes. So they're really, really old, and they just redid the inside, the decor to make it look new, but they're the oldest planes on the market. So, yes.
Who was second? Did they say?
Safety-wise,
Yeah.
no. But, so that's why. So has anybody Googled it to see that I'm telling the truth? And you know who told me about it? You can ask her, Professor Jamie Abrams. Because I said, oh, I'm going to Florida on the Legion, and she like looked horrified. And I was like, what's wrong? And so then I went, found the special, looked at it. So yeah, I mean, roll the dice.
Just never fly United if you have pets.
If Nolan doesn't come back.
I do know that.
called
So,
dibs on your stuff yet, Nolan?
okay, but did anybody Google to see that I'm telling the truth?
I just Googled them and it just said there's a 60 Minutes report on it.
Oh, 60
and they're
Minutes.
3.5 times, their safety problems are 3.5 times greater than the other major airlines.
No, you got to see the number of
That's
in-air
just
engine
three.
failures. That's what got me. The engine like spilling in the air. That's what's me. Okay. So I hope I answered your question. I hope you all have a fabulous spring break.
We'll
if
be
I don't
here.
See you.
Do you have office hours for
Yeah.
like all of them?
She's not coming.
Let's do Caterpillar and do our complaint drafting exercise. We're in rockstar mode. All right. I realize we don't have any volunteers today. So for this case, it's a pretty nice and easy case. Let's just do Attorney Rice. Tanner, are you here?
Yeah.
Tanner's in the house. All right. I love your name. And then, do you want to pick your co-counsel? Wise decision. You would have an enemy for life. What about Attorney Church? Where art thou? Hi. He didn't look that excited, but I can't blame him. All right, either of you mind just giving me the facts and tell me what the citizenship is of the party. So whoever wants to jump in, doesn't really matter.
John David Lewis was a Kentucky resident. He was injured while operating a bulldozer. He filed a lawsuit against Caterpillar and Wayne Supply Company. Caterpillar was from Delaware,
Okay.
and Wayne Supply Company is a Kentucky corporation. And then later, Liberty Mutual was brought into the suit, and they're from Massachusetts.
And what was the Massachusetts company?
Liberty Mutual.
All right. And defendants. Awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm already seeing a problem here.
Pardon?
I'm already seeing a problem.
Okay, we'll hold that thought. All right, so, all right, this is easy. So we've got Plaintiff Lewis, resident of Kentucky, filed a lawsuit in the state court in Kentucky after this bulldozing accident. Not good. Did the case involve a federal question, Attorney Church or Rife? Did I say your name right, correct? Is it Riff or Rife?
Right.
I did say it right, okay. Does this involve a federal question, this case? You're shaking your head, but say it. All right. No, and why not? What kind of claim either of you were they alleging?
Negligent maintenance, failure to warranty.
Excellent. All right. So it's not a federal question case because they were alleging state law claims based on defective manufacture, negligent maintenance, and failure to warn of a breach of warranty. All right. So Attorney Church, who did the plaintiff initially sue? And yes, who did the plaintiff initially sue?
The manufacturer.
Okay. Which was?
Caterpillar.
Yeah, Caterpillar Incorporated, and they manufactured the bulldozer. So they're a Delaware corporation. Where was their principal place of business? Alrighty, and then Wayne Supply Company was the servicer of the bulldozer, and as we stated, a Kentucky corporation. So Attorney Church, how did Liberty Mutual get involved in the lawsuit?
insurance, Lewis's employer's insurance carrier?
All right, excellent. All right, so basically several months later, Liberty Mutual Insurance Group, which is again a Massachusetts corporation, as Attorney Rife said, with the principal place of business in Massachusetts, is the insurance carrier, right, for the plaintiff, Lewis's employer. So they intervened via Rule 24, and I had mentioned to you in the last class they have these joinder rules we'll cover later that allows people that were not originally a party in the suit to intervene or enter the suit if the outcome might impact their well-being. So the insurance carrier for the plaintiff, Lewis's employer, entered the lawsuit as a party via Rule 24 as a plaintiff and asserted a subrogation claim against both Caterpillar as well as Wayne Supply for workers' compensation benefits that Liberty Mutual had paid to Lewis on behalf of his employer. So subrogation, which is kind of a weird word unless you're in the field of insurance, basically it's just circumstances in which an insurance company tries to recoup expenses for a claim it paid out when another party should have been responsible for paying at least part or all of the claim. So there's just, it's like, I remember I had a little minor fender bender when I was in college, and my insurance company paid to have my car fixed, and then they went after the individual that actually hit me to recoup those funds. So that's subrogation. All right, so we know the citizenship of Liberty Mutual was Massachusetts corporation. So basically at this stage of the lawsuit, we know that there's two plaintiffs since one intervened. Plaintiff Lewis, who's from Kentucky, plaintiff Liberty Mutual Insurance, is from Massachusetts. And again, they're both suing the defendant, Wayne Supply Company from Kentucky, and defendant Caterpillar, that is a Delaware and Illinois corporation. This case is a great example of how how multifaceted these cases can get in terms of citizenship, especially when you have corporations, because you know that they potentially are going to have at least two domiciles, which again is their place of incorporation and principal place of business. So what happened next? Who did the plaintiff settle with, Attorney Rife?
The plaintiff settled with Wayne Supply.
All right, and Attorney Church, what type of motion did Caterpillar file?
They wanted the removal of the suit to federal court.
Excellent. All right. So we know that Plaintiff Lewis settled with Wayne Supply Company. Caterpillar then filed a notice of removal from state court to federal court, specifically the Eastern District Court of Kentucky, based on diversity of citizenship. All right, so Wayne. I'll do that. So we know that they settled with Wayne Supply Company. All right. Interesting case. Okay, so what is Caterpillar's argument for removal, either of you? Why are they saying that they should be able to remove the case from state court to federal court?
So Lewis settled with Wayne, so Wayne is no longer part of the suit, so there's diversity.
Yeah, you said it perfect. And you're doing a great job, by the way. So, interesting scenario here. So, as Jessica was kind of alluding to earlier, as long as Wayne Supply Company was in the suit, there was no diversity jurisdiction because there wasn't complete diversity because, again, no plaintiff or defendant can be domiciled in the same state. But once Wayne Supply Company is no longer a party in the suit because they've settled, now we have a situation where there's diversity of jurisdiction, and on the face value of things, the case now qualifies for federal question. At least that's what for diversity jurisdiction. So that's what Caterpillar Company at least is arguing. So Caterpillar's argument for removal, as Attorney Rife was saying, is that Caterpillar says, look, we satisfied removal within 1 day. to spare the statutory requirement that a diversity-based removal take place within 1 year of the commencement of the lawsuit. And that's a rule that we're not going to be graded on our, because it's kind of Civ Pro 2, but it's 1446B has that little rule in there. Caterpillar also said that the case was removable because at the lawsuit start, complete diversity was absent because Lewis and Wayne Supply Company were both from Kentucky, and the settlement agreement, as I mentioned, between Lewis and Wayne State would result in dismissal of the action. Again, and diversity would be proper. Lewis does not want to move this case to federal court. He intentionally filed the case in state court because he thought it would be more beneficial to his outcome, assuming that he wins. So Lewis says, wait a minute, I have an argument against removing this case to federal court. What does he say, Attorney Church? I mean, yes. What is Lewis's response to the argument he's at the district court level about why removal should not happen?
That Wayne Supply's presence as a defendant defeated diversity of citizenship.
Yes, because it's not a trick question.
I don't know.
Okay, and that's fair. I just wanted you to say because Wayne Supply Company was still in the lawsuit and they were from Kentucky.
Okay.
All right, that's why I said it's not a trick question, because I knew you knew the answer. All right, so we know that Lewis acknowledged with Wayne Supply Company, the settlement with Wayne Supply Company, but argued that Liberty Mutual Insurance had not yet settled its subrogation claim against Wayne Supply, and that defeated diversity of citizenship because Wayne Supply was still technically in the lawsuit, and they were from Kentucky. So we know the district court in this case held in favor of Caterpillar. They denied Lewis's motion to remand to state court. So the next question that's important is, why was the district court wrong in that decision? Why were they wrong in allowing the defendants to remove the case to federal court? If you look at the citizenship of the parties on the board, which for those of you I'm blocking it, I apologize. But essentially, although the plaintiff was from Kentucky and settled with the defendant Wayne Supply Company, who was from Kentucky, the plaintiff Liberty Mutual had not yet settled its claim against Wayne Supply Company. So Wayne Supply, which is a Kentucky corporation, was still in the lawsuit. That means there was not complete diversity at the time of removal because plaintiff Lewis is from Kentucky and defendant Wayne is from Kentucky. So I'm going to say that again. So plaintiff Liberty Mutual had not yet settled its claim against Wayne Supply Company. So Wayne Supply Company, a Kentucky corporation, was still technically in the lawsuit. Even though they were in the process of settling, they weren't done. And that means there was not complete diversity at the time of removal. So there has to be complete diversity at the time that you file a motion to remove. And here, that was not the case. So again, because you had a plaintiff and defendant both from the state of Kentucky. So what's interesting is, a question to think about is, eventually, I think the key to really understanding this particular case is that Wayne Supply and Liberty Mutual eventually settled in June of 1993, and Wayne Supply was dismissed from the case by the time the final judgment was rendered in November of 1993. So the defendant Wayne Supply Company, which destroyed diversity, is no longer part of the case. And so that's kind of what screwed everything up. And so Lewis is still upset because the ruling that there was not complete diversity at the time that the removal motion was filed, so they appealed to the Court of Appeals. Plaintiff Lewis's argument on appeal is what? What does he say in the appeal? Take your time finding that. Plaintiff Lewis's argument on appeal. He starts out by saying, all's well that ends well is not a good approach, essentially.
The ultimate satisfaction of civic matter jurisdiction according to unlawful antecedent statutory
What you said is correct. I just need you to say it a little bit louder. That's it.
The ultimate satisfaction of subject matter jurisdiction requirement ought not to swallow up antecedent statutory violations.
Very good. And what does he say, Attorney Church, about what we should do with respect to diversity rules? What does he want? And take your time. It's not a clear-cut question. So what does Lewis make an argument for in terms of how we should use diversity rules? Curiosity is killing me. Did you book brief? I'm not upset with you because I know you're prepared. I'm just curious.
I honestly didn't read it.
Wow, you've done well. Can we pause and give him some respect? Because that was really impressive. You gotta give it to him. Is Richard brief due today?
I was due yesterday, but I was gonna read, I ended up sleeping all afternoon.
So, Attorney Church, this is what I appreciate about him. Number one, he didn't lie, and I really appreciate people that are honest. Number two, I do know those briefs were like a big pain in the neck, so I don't think he's brushing the class off. So we're gonna move on. Thank you. All right, so essentially Plaintiff Lewis's argument on appeal, as I stated, he said the all's well as the ends well is not necessarily a good approach. There was no diversity when the case was moved to federal court because Wayne was still a party, and it doesn't matter if by the time of the judgment was ready that Wayne State was no longer a party. Lewis also said that it would discourage plaintiffs, he thinks, holding who timely but unsuccessfully moved to check improper dismissals by the district court. And essentially what he's saying is, look, I want strict adherence to diversity rules. Bottom line, I don't want to have, this kind of flexible approach to these types of cases. He said only by removing early, which is improper, was the defendant able to make that 1-year deadline. So he thinks that, we just really need to strictly adhere to 1446B. And if they don't make the 1-year deadline, no go. If they do, great. So just so you know, once the case gets to federal court, Lewis does lose to Caterpillar. I don't think that's in your abbreviated version. And the only way that Lewis can win now is to say that the federal court had no subject matter jurisdiction, and so the judgment is not binding, and the case should go back to federal court. That's his only option now. So the court does take into consideration the plaintiff Lewis's argument and says, okay, let me think about it. And so the court says that the plaintiff does have valid arguments, okay, which is good, but they run up against an overriding consideration, the court says. The court says once a diversity case has been tried in federal court with rules of decision supplied by a state law, that they have to consider things such as efficiency and economy, right? They mention Erie in your case. We do not cover Erie in Civil Procedure 1, but all Erie says is that, thought there was a trash can there. All Erie says essentially is that if you have a case that qualifies for federal court and you try it in a state court, you have to use a case that can be filed in, how do I make it easier, sorry, because we spent a whole class on Erie, but essentially it means that if you have a case in federal court based on diversity jurisdiction, you apply that state law's rule. Again, Civ Pro 2, not on the bar, but I just want to say, it's basically saying there are certain rules that I'm not going to go over today that tell you when and when you don't have to apply that particular state law's rule. So say I have like here, if we file the case in Massachusetts because there's diversity jurisdiction, there are certain rules, legal rules that say you have to apply Massachusetts state law or Kentucky state law, essentially. I'm going to leave it at that. All right, so the court basically says that in the way that removal was set up by Congress, that it ordered a procedure, again, trying to create an expeditious or quick remedy to cases within a district court. That's why they said, again, looking at congressional intent, there's a reason that Congress said, you know what, we're gonna give you 30 days for a motion to remand for any defects in the removal procedure. So if anything wasn't done correctly, you have 30 days essentially to challenge it. Additionally, the court talks about, they look at 1447C. Again, I'm not gonna test you on any of this. And again, just saying that courts generally will not allow you to challenge removals on appeal. They're not reviewable because, again, they have that 30-day window for you to correct any defects that might have occurred in the removal procedure. And again, that's as of based on 1447C. So bottom line is the court says that to wipe out the adjudication or judgment and return to a state court after the fact is not a good thing. They said it would be an exorbitant cost on our dual court system to do that. So what's important for you to remember for practice purposes is to make sure if you think there are any defects in the removal process that you challenge them within that 30-day window that is specified in 1447C. So they said the unwarranted removal of a defendant will be quickly remanded back to state court per the current rules. And so the ultimate holding in this case is the court held that the district court's error in failing to remand the case improperly removed it is not fatal at the litigation if the federal jurisdictional requirements are met at the time the judgment is entered. So although the district court was wrong in denying Lewis's motion to remand to state court, meaning to remove the case to state court, because complete diversity was not satisfied when Liberty again and Wayne settled. Wayne's supply was dismissed from the case, and by the time again that the final judgment was rendered in November, there was complete diversity because the only defendant was Caterpillar against Lewis. So this case is kind of convoluted, so I want to really emphasize the takeaway because there are a lot of moving parts in there and a lot of advanced civil procedure practices that you haven't learned yet. So in the Caterpillar case, what's important for you to remember is there was not complete diversity when the case was removed from state court to federal court, and that is an absolute must. So again, in the Caterpillar case, what's important to remember is that there was not complete diversity when the case was moved from state court to federal court. However, the party which destroyed diversity, which again was Wayne Supply Company from Kentucky, was dropped from the lawsuit before the court rendered the final judgment. And the issue again is whether or not the lack of subject matter jurisdiction at the time of removal is fatal, or if it's okay to proceed on. And so the court says that it is okay if at the time of the judgment, right, if at the time of the judgment, the court had proper subject matter jurisdiction. So the court says it's okay if at the time of the judgment, the court had proper subject matter jurisdiction, even if at the time of removal, subject matter jurisdiction was not present. So really what they're focusing on is, did they have proper, complete diversity at the time of the judgment? Because a lot of parties can change from when you file your initial complaint until the actual judgment is rendered. And to be honest with you, what happens a lot with the courts trying to deter is people will add defendants that they know that they really shouldn't be in the case and it's probably going to get dismissed. And then like a paralegal, they're going to add the paralegal on as well, purposely to get it in federal court and then say, oh, when it's dismissed, oh, we still want to keep the case in federal court. It really should have been in state court from the beginning. So that's why there's all these subparts of 1447 to try to deter that you'll learn in Civ Pro 2. But what's important again for you to remember is to look at whether there's complete diversity at the time the final judgment is rendered. And to remember that if there's any defects, in removal, you have 30 days to challenge it from that original motion that's made to saying we want to remove the case from state court to federal court. Once that party files that motion, you have 30 days to say no, removal isn't proper because there's diversity there's not diversity jurisdiction or complete diversity. So any challenges, you have 30 days from when the initial motion is filed. So for exam purposes, what I care about you knowing for just Civil Procedure 1 is that removal, again, is from state court to federal court. It's something that the defendant uses. It's a tool that's used by the defendant, not the plaintiff, because remember, the plaintiff filed where they wanted their case. All right? And that you have to have complete diversity when you're removing the case from state court to federal court. That's what you need to know for example, the extent of removal. All right.
Cause sometimes it won't, it doesn't be fast. Did I give her the sign-in sheet?
If you don't file this properly, they will
I'm
move
asleep.
you
I think I passed it. I'm sleepy.
This is the graduation.
Past what? The attendance?
I don't even remember doing it.
Where's the attendance
Technically,
sheet?
no. There's no telling where I put it.
You
Anybody
used
know
my
where the
pen.
attendance sheet is? It's right here. Okay, it's coming. Oh, some people
I
didn't get it.
did
Can you
pass
pass
it.
it that way?
It wasn't me.
Sorry, I skipped you by mistake.
I need to go to bed. This break I get done today. I'm done with it. Thursday.
Oh, Thursday?
It was supposed to be due yesterday. I mean tonight.
Why did Cannon act like he couldn't? You know what I'm saying? He kept talking about, like, I can't change the card. Do you have one?
No.
Thursday and Friday, he had a long he had to cancel. So
Walker looks like a disheveled teenager with
He
gray
acts
hair.
like one.
With gray hair. Like, whenever I see him, I'll be like, what's this Walker? What's this
He acts
teenager
like
with
one.
gray hair?
He's very like all over the place. But he teaches very well. But to get started, all over the place. I'm gonna buy you a backpack for Christmas.
What if I don't want a backpack?
You getting a backpack?
I got a
On a
backpack.
side note, so I do have human moments. If I've already called on you this semester, say something. Say, yo, you've already called on me. I'd already called on poor Attorney Church, so there was no reason for him to think that I was gonna. Yeah, just say something. Say, yo, it's okay. Just say you already called on me. Leave me alone. It's really cool. So I'm sorry that happened. He still did a great job.
I would have fell out my chair. Faked a heart attack.
A wig.
I'll be practicing at home. I do. You never know, you might have to pull that out the hat. And that day my wig came off, I was ready. I was waiting for somebody to say, please remove your hat. Okay.
are you kidding? We have a guest speaker there.
Yes, and I'm done.
I'm not going, bro.
I'm signing in. And then
I don't feel like reading this. I don't
I
want to
don't
type
either.
another thing.
Like, I'm not reading it. She can tell me.
Why are they playing with my heart? I'm sick. I got a disability. They really do need to make that a disability. Some days I really be dying.
What?
PCOS. I just might.
Mandatory meeting. My dog is
Why does it take 2 hours?
Because I'm already notorious for not being there during guest speakers. A lot. You can only miss like 3. What do you mean a lot?
I've only missed one more.
I think he already thinks I've never come to
All
guest
right,
speakers.
so, one more up there. All right.
You can't both leave. Don't come. Just don't come.
I'm about to start singing hymnals. I need Jesus.
Okay, oh, sorry, that was a mistake. Okay, so here's how this works. I have given you, okay, so this, you obviously have the directions. The sample is just helping you fill out the blank sheet, kind of showing you what goes into a complaint. So the first section, you're going to tell the nature of the action. So you should have, oh no, did they not print the facts? Oh no, Kia. Kia didn't give you the facts. What's Kia doing?
She was missing.
Oh, Kia, you messed up my whole exercise. I'm like, where are the facts? That's why you guys are looking at me crazy. So let's take a 5-minute break, and I'm going to go see if Kia has my facts upstairs. Yep. So I'll be back. 5 minutes.
I hope she is.
Kia has my facts. I'm sorry. I'm sure she has them up in the copy room.
She was missing.
Okay, get up and move so I don't feel weird.
I'm dead. Move what?
Yeah, left them in their car.
She was in here fixing the clock earlier. You know, Professor Roski when he cleaned up that clock, she got to see what time it is. Do y'all know we can't even sing I Believe I Could Fly anymore?
What you talking about?
We ruined our lives.
Oh.
I've drafted complaints before.
Can't sing the world's greatest.
Tell me.
What we gonna sing?
You complain every day. You wake up complaining, shit, having anxiety attacks on the spot. Like, that's what Honora does.
Have anxiety attacks
On the spot. It is, but I'm just saying.
It was like, you know that song by my neck, my back.
That was the one I was going to send you.
It's like, yeah,
Yeah, they close on Friday, like afternoon.
Jordan?
No,
Chloe.
But yeah, no, like,
Oh.
and they talked to their class right after us. Boston's class in section 1. They took that under yesterday to talk. But they're not coming here. And like, we were talking to Kat, section 1. She was like, has friends in like 2 or 3 out there. Meredith Ellis, Kirby something.
exactly.
And then Paige was like short, she was slimmer, and she was short and brown eyes. That's the whole purpose. Yeah.
That's the last one before they all get up.
If they kind of are, like, they're like, kind of like kids are. But they don't just get Kirby's on
It's not like near as
yeah, because I was looking here. I'm running against her.
We got like just a population before.
Yeah. Because when I checked that paper on Thursday, the only time that
These are my people.
oh, our I see you don't want to.
It's kind of scary.
Mary Rose College. Rochester, home of the Rams. Carl, is it Carl?
That's a lie. That's at most 11.
Is that what that is? No.
Carl Towns was 21.
I don't like feet. James wear like a size 14. I hate that.
I just really like these.
So cool.
What?
Oh, you're saying that because of Michigan.
I don't even know what to do in the room.
So it's not that hard.
I can't even get my mind right. Am I playing this with the What are we? Yes, wait, I don't want to lawyer today. I can't lawyer today.
My therapist is making me
Good. We almost lost you.
All right. Now we're ready. So
I'm not.
you have the relevant facts. You have a sample of what you should include. Hide it from me. But you have a sample, voila, and a blank one. So you're going to pull the facts you need out of your relevant facts, just like an attorney's going to give you a file. This is what's going on. I need you to draft a complaint. Associate Hart, Associate Gross, Associate. I know, just remembering the names. And that's it. And then we'll see what you have. So you got this. But do you see why you needed to know jurisdiction and venue and the parties? It's all making sense. You need civil procedure to draft. This is what you would file in court when you start your process. It's exciting. You can go file a case right now. Pro se.
Can we separate these for,
You can rip apart all you need to. Yes, sir.
So we just knew that Lewis sued Liberty Mutual, because I don't remember it saying it in the case. Right?
No, it's from what do you call it? That's an abbreviated version. I was giving stuff from the full version of the case.
Okay.
You're welcome. All right, so do you want me to play Jeopardy music, or are you guys good? And sometimes the silence is awkward for me.
Speaking of the caterpillar case, I don't remember Big Worm being a party to it.
Big worm.
On the board.
She changed Caterpillar to Big Worm.
God, Patrick.
Thank you, because I needed to know who actually did it. So that's helpful. You know? So I'll be honest, when they said I had your section, I was a little concerned. But I actually really, really like your section.
What do we do?
What does that mean?
We only have our section.
We're the good
I just
section.
heard some things, but I'm really enjoying your section. And
They said we're the mean section.
And with that being said, I really need you all to I need this to be legendary. I need the most A's ever in civil procedure. You seem like you understand it. We're gonna have a rock star section, review session. After spring break, I'm gonna go hardcore. So I'll be doing civil procedure questions of the week, questions of the day, constantly asking you stuff from back that we've already covered. But I need you to make history at the law school this section. And this is the first time I feel like you can do it. People actually understand it pretty well. So please, I need 90% A's, rock star. I need a write-up on the website. So it's not just about you. It makes me look really good. So I need you to do really well. But go ahead and do your complaint drafting exercise. And oh yes, sir.
Do you actually give us the A's?
That's a really good point. So I need to make an extremely generous curve, and I support that.
Or easy question.
No.
Not
I need you to
easy.
pass the bar.
but-
I need it to be regular bar questions. Elizabeth.
Are we turning this in?
This is what I need to understand. Elizabeth is not.
Go around with the line.
Now, you all are, you're supposed to be like supporting each other, colleagues. So when you see your colleague go rogue, why didn't nobody stop her?
I didn't even see
I
her.
did.
This whole road.
What are you talking about?
Come on.
I was like talking to the people in the back.
Going rogue. That was me, actually. I was working on my breakdown. You know I would. She encouraged me. She was my lookout. Like,
See, so now you know you cannot do anything shady with her because she don't throw you under the bus. You shouldn't have said that she's a lookout. You're supposed to be. She looking.
I just don't. I don't see them do anything. I don't pay attention to them.
You tune out.
she's the voice of
They
reason.
always doing something.
So she's
She
the
tells me
voice
to be
of reason.
quiet.
What role does she play in the front row?
She ignores all.
She's an innocent
That's my
bystander.
buddy.
She used to be over there, and this used to be our row, and then, you know, she
What made you
came.
move?
She couldn't see it, and we drove.
Bad. Like, they were already bad.
You don't want to wear your
But I think,
glasses.
well, no, I have contacts, but like,
Oh.
I think it's just all the reading and staring at the computer screen, it's like, it's getting worse.
No, it's true. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys do the
Yeah, I keep
exercise.
her
I'm
in
sorry.
line. She's
You're not
yeah,
doing
She
a
tells
great
me to
job
shut up.
right now because you let her do that.
I swear I was like back there.
I know her. You need the company.
She's an
I'm
adult.
awesome. You should talk to Tony.
You get yourself together, bro.
It's not that hard.
I'm not. It's
I
not
like your little headband.
covering up my lips.
I can't read.
I can neither. I don't even know what to do. Like, where to start.
Can y'all take me to the chapel?
And again, the prayer for relief, you're just gonna, it's just how much money you're asking for and damages.
I can do a civil action number.
Died on the cross for this. Same thing.
Just as a side note, hopefully no one else did this, but you do know that this is just the first one. It's just a sample, a model, and then you're creating your own brand new complaint. Okay, just making sure.
I'm dead. I'm a corpse.
Okay, I just decided to up the ante. So I'm feeling excited about spring break. I wasn't gonna collect them, but I'm gonna collect them at exactly 10:15. And whoever has I'm gonna pick the two best out of the class, and I'm gonna bring you, what, Starbucks gift cards? Starbucks good? Where? What's good?
I done lost.
Chick-fil-A gift cards.
What did Donald Trump say?
What?
He
Dimitri, don't distract us.
It was chicken fillet and
So I'm gonna
McDonald's.
collect them, I'm gonna pick the two top
I
ones,
got
I'm
you
gonna
saying
show them on the overhead, and I'm gonna bring gift cards.
I got you saying punching too.
We know the front row is not gonna be eligible because they've been
don't even
goofing off the whole time. Of course.
Mine is
Just,
good thing.
clear it off the.
I'm sweet.
We have a blank one.
Oh,
That is my name.
Yes. Somebody buy her a gift card. It's like a durable thing. She was on the phone.
Bet y'all win while she talking about goofing off.
I'm not worried about it. I'm sweet.
Talking about
This is for a grade.
no.
Exactly. You get no effort. I'm fed up. You probably saying that too.
Wait a second. I think I'm doing this wrong.
You probably are. I have no faith.
No. I think I'm doing it on the wrong side. She has a kid. She knows how to.
And in terms of the statement of the claim, that's just what claim, a brief statement. An example would be plaintiff seeks redress or recovery for a discrimination claim based on Title VII, and that's it. So whatever type of claim, or a negligence claim. I don't want to know. So it's just a brief statement of what they're claiming the wrong is, what legal harm has been done. You've gone from like super massive potential to what is going on?
Oh, we represent the defendants, right?
You can do either side at this point.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
You're supposed to be representing the defendants. But
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. This is
Yeah.
Dr. Trump.
yeah. You're good?
Yeah.
Are you gonna get the gift? You ain't gonna finish in time. You ain't gonna finish in
I
time.
don't want it.
Cool.
It's my ID.
That's actually really cool. She had to zone you all out, you see that? people are, well, not a lot, 2 people asked about the district. It's in Corpus Christi, Texas. So if you just Google it, it'll tell you what district it is. Corpus Christi's in the back. And that's what you would have to do with a real client as well. If they're from out of state and you're trying to see if there's diversity jurisdiction. It's a real city. Yeah, so someone was nice enough to share Southern District of Texas.
I done messed up there.
We're almost done. Statement of the claim, what is he saying? He's claiming what wrong has been done. Is Rothstein gonna come today? Do I get to see her?
She usually comes in.
That's one thing she won't forget.
This is too much paper. I don't know what I'm doing. It's like 18 pieces of paper.
Oh, shit.
You're fine. So you make me look bad. You know I was gonna bring them donuts on Monday, but it was too cold.
And Professor Abramson has some really other stuff.
You saying thank you, you ain't got none yet.
It's Mardi Gras, Professor. Mardi Gras. Alright, the board is clean. And I'm gonna collect a complaint draft.
Yes,
There's a draft here.
I gotta go to the toilet.
Can you believe it?
I know you will put my name on there. That was,
Although I don't know what this is, something.
No, that's not.
don't listen.
I know, but I'm saying I don't know what ours is. This should be Southern District of Texas.
And you're a lefty. We're not gonna let you. Hey, watch it. Oh, sorry. Two lefties in the house. Thank you. Pass them on there. Go file a case in small claims court as quick as you can. Thank you.
I want to go file a case for intentional infliction of emotional distress on all my professors. Every single one.
Failure to state a claim upon granted. You haven't learned that one yet.
I ain't finished. This is a hot mess. I ain't winning
You've been
nothing.
holding back from this
I'm
whole
never
time?
winning nothing anyway.
Right.
Oh, I guess I'll keep this one for me.
Sorry, get up, thank you. I'm trying not to make y'all get up.
I ain't finished, but I tried.
That's because you had distractions over here. None of that's your fault.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I would have come to get
I'm
it.
gonna go to the toilet.
You didn't sign like in a scan sign.
I wonder if Leon's over there.
We all must get dressed up. Thank you. Okay, I'm leaving the building. Don't be negative. I'm in a rush. Alright. I am leaving. And a king cake. Oh, now wait, I got oh my gosh.
Alright. Mardi Gras, doesn't time. It'll give you a headache before the day is over. No, there's napkins. These give me headaches, like if I beat because they're so sugar. Good dog. It's a headache. What's the lid back?
Yeah, instead of throwing dice for take my shirt off.
I don't even think I like it.
3 favors, please grab one. It's supposed to be bad, you can always be good. And if you go to New Orleans, you get something drunk. You know, all that. I'm not that for it. It's supposed to be good all. We gotta Oh yeah, I think she's probably excellent.
Don't get to wear this jewelry.
It's a perfect season. So yeah, you gotta go have some fun tonight.
All right.
I'm gonna have to get one. Okay, James did it. I can do it. James did it.
I love it. It's pasta.
Which one? Yeah. Okay, this is from Markstown Road.
Oh, you got Where do you live at? Yeah, I live on, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I'm not. No, I live in a house back in
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like right 2 miles away.
Right? Why would I want a meeting
I know how good that spot is.
And I'm gonna tell you, Natalie, to the women,
Somebody will offer me a little while.
So then why wouldn't you? Those are still parents in a way.
In a way.
I like brackets.
Oh, that's so cute.
He goes that way. Huh? He goes that way.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Skip me toes? No, usually she brings it this way. No, we have a lot of elbow room. It goes this way. See, you're confused too. Usually it passes this way.
Kayla's coming break.
No, I'm not. I want like 8 more donuts. I want a baby. This needs to stop.
King cake,
My uterus been shaking. And James got a haircut. It just might happen.
Sire. John.
Hey. Where's the food from?
Get one.
Why are you here? She's so rude. Just
I don't know. Why am I?
this is class.
I'm in the wrong place. I'm here for the food.
Hi, how are you? You have to stay in your site if you're going to be getting a donut.
Cake.
Do you need a donut?
Good.
I apologize for my
Who's on call today?
Not me. But I did read though.
Yeah, I'm not on call either.
No. You need to get up and exercise to get it done. You know, sit, are you sit right here?
Dimitri. For Abby's on call.
There was that one time.
Who's on call today?
That's what I'm thinking.
Who's on call?
Yeah.
What's your name? Oh, good, that works out. All right. All right.
What's your name, Patrick? Your last name?
Okay, happy Mardi Gras. How many of you know what Mardi Gras is?
Where you go show your face to be.
It's a bad city.
Tuesday of Fat.
It means Fat Tuesday, but it's beginning, tomorrow's actually the beginning of Lent, and French, New Orleans is primarily.
I forgot I had it.
And Houston is a city that has a lot of Cajun influence, so we're very aware of it.